Okay, good. COVID should be treated like any other normal. COVID should be treated like any other normal disease. I wish it was that easy. Hi, Satyam from Nagpur. Nice. Issue a lot of expectations, yeah, all already. No pressure.
Yep, yep.
Hi, Gayatri. Hi, Punal. A lot of Pune folks. Hi, Vijay. Very nice. All right. So let's get started, right? I we We'll go through some hygiene issues just to ensure that we are all optimized for this webinar. This meetup is obviously thanks to Tableau. If it was not for Tableau, I don't think we would have been able to learn. Um, it's an amazing community. Ishwar actually reached out to me last time itself, and he said, "Let's do. I want to do the next session." So thank you, Ishwar. It does mean a lot, and this is quite selfless, right? In spite of, I mean, we all have busy schedules. We are all working some way or the other, and he's busy with something that's more important. But to choose to sort of come forward and give back to the community means a lot. So I really look forward to having more people from the community reach out and we can sort of set you up for a session so that if you all are experts on something, obviously with Tableau in the picture, then we'll be happy to sort of take that. Now, today's session is going to be, like I mentioned, is going to be taken by Ishwar. A quick introduction to him. I think he's been in the forefront of data visualization ever since he started his career. So very blessed, I would say, to have started a career even with data analytics and with Tableau. He probably has about 7 years or 7+ years, right, Ishwar, I
Yes,
think,
7+. Yes,
on
yes,
Tableau
Santosh.
alone, or and overall, Tableau alone and overall, or just Tableau.
Tableau and overall, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And he's currently working as a consultant at Technomatic, right? He helps users get the most out of Tableau and create probably stellar data visualizations. So he obviously is a Tableau guru for us. He knows a lot of shortcuts, a lot of hacks, right, that we can use and that can help us become really productive when we are working on Tableau. So I really look forward to the session, Ishwar, personally, and I'm sure on behalf of the rest of the attendees, I'm sure it'll be quite an interesting session. So I would not take more time. I think I'll hand it over to Ishwar. Before that, any if there are any questions, then there's a Q&A box. Feel free to please ask your questions there. We do have a dedicated Q&A session after Ishwar's session, and you can do it then. If at all you need to ask a question in between, I'm sure Ishwar is going to have a break somewhere in the middle. So during that time, if you feel it's necessary and you can't wait until the end, then yeah, we understand. Please feel free to ask a question. And if there's anything else that you want to chat about, feel free to use the chat option and we can chat about it. Please ensure that you are able to hear us. Please confirm as soon as Ishwar is able to share a screen. Let us know if you can see it. And if there's anything else, yeah, Q&A is right there. Chat is right here. We are, as far as panelists are concerned, you have me, Ishwar, and Prakash, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that will come by. I wish you all the best, Ishwar, and I hope all of you have fun. Talk soon.
Okay. So, hey everyone, and thank you, Santosh, for the opportunity. Hello, fellow data enthusiast. I look forward to this session, and I hope you'll have something to take away from this session. So I just wanted to create a session that would help people in terms of getting better at Tableau, in terms of tricks and hacks that they can use and they can implement on their project. So I hope I'll be able to do justice to this particular session. So yeah, I think let's get started. Let me start sharing my screen with you all. Let me know if it is coming through. Uh,
Yeah, we can. We can see your screen.
okay, so yeah, before that, let me just introduce myself once again. This is Ishwar Sasode. I started my career on Tableau back in 2011 itself. So that was the first tool, and Tableau was relatively new. I got introduced to the Tableau with the version 8.1, and ever since I have been hooked up with the Tableau. The versatility of the tool and the flexiness that we can use in Tableau just blow my mind. And ever since I've been looking the different ways how we can use the Tableau to address or answer the questions of our client. So yeah, that is a quick introduction about me. So currently I'm working as a consultant at Technomatic Services. Okay, and helping the client to get most out of their data. Okay, so I think let's get the party started, I guess. So there are few things that I want to focus on this particular session is about how we can use Tableau in our daily working life or on the project deliverables to solve or get out the most out of the tool and enrich our clients in terms of the capability and things that they can achieve with the help of this tool. So one of the common question that I usually receive in terms of Tableau would be, uh, we use the quick action in Tableau most of the time, right? And if you have multiple sheets on your dashboard, if you select or click on any particular data point, it will automatically slice your data based on the visualizations that you have on that same dashboard. Now, that is a great feature to have, and very limited tools actually provide that kind of flexibility. Now, the next thing that I would like to do in Tableau would be how we can only pass the selective context to the different sheets. So for example, let's say you have chart A, chart B. One chart is based, let's say you have the multiple, what we can say, sales data for different years, and it is again grouped by based on your category. Now, the idea here is to, if I click or use the quick action in Tableau, it will automatically pass on your year and category column as a filter. Okay, but what if you only want to pass, let's say, year as a filter, or let's say category as a filter, so that once you click on that particular bar, it should filter or slice your data only based on limited dimension rather than using or passing both year and category or any other dimension that you have in your visualization. So I'll quickly go through that example. I'll be using the sample superstore data for this particular scenarios, the scenarios that I'm going to cover. If you can basically replicate into sample superstore, you should be able to replicate in your projects also. So yeah, and I hope that is handy to everyone. So let's start by creating the visualization first. So I'll be pulling in the order date column, and I'll be using the year combinations of that. Let me place it into the year values. Next thing, I'll be pulling in the sales column, and I'll change the mark types to, let's say, bar chart. So I established the base visualization for now. Next thing I would like to do is to color my visualization based on the category, and I'll place it into the color shelf. Okay. Now, so far so good. Now I'll just uh, create another sheet out of this. I'll create a duplicate of this visualization as a cross tab to create the cross tab. Now, next thing I'll be doing, just to add or give more context to this visualization, I'll be adding, let's say, subcategory. And to match the numbers easily, I'll quickly just show the totals here. So I'll be showing the column totals And yeah, and these totals are available up top now. Okay, so I have created basically two visualizations. Now let's get them on the dashboard. So I'll be getting this visualization on the bar chart, and below that I'll add the my cross tab. Okay, now you can simply rename this as you want. So let's say I'll rename this as bar chart. I'll rename this as cross tab. Okay, now coming back to the dashboard, the one of the easiest way to apply the action is to use the uh, quick action. So if I click on this particular filter, and if I select any particular category, I should be able to slice my data. Okay, so I think so far so good. So based on what color you click, it will only show data for that particular category. Okay, now what I want to do is rather than passing on the category as a filter, I want to pass on only the year of order date as a filter to the bottom sheet. So rather than seeing the data for only category, even if I click on any particular bar or any particular color, I still want to see the data for all the categories. Okay, and we can easily achieve this in Tableau. Okay, so for this we are going to tweak the existing action which is created. So if I go into the dashboard and into actions, you can see that whatever the quick filter that I created, quick action that I created, Tableau have generated what we can say auto action for that. So I'll go there. Okay, so here you have your source sheet on which it should perform the action. You have your target sheet, and at the very bottom you have the option which is by default set to all fields. Okay, target filters. So when you click on the all fields, it automatically pass whatever the categorical field that you have on your source sheet, and it will pass them as a filter. Okay, now one thing that you can do if you want to control how your dashboard should behave, if you click on the sheet one, it should only pass the limited values. In that case, you can go for this selected field option. Okay, now once you go to the selected field option, click on add filter, and here you will be able to define on the source sheet or the source field what field you want to pass on as a filter. Okay, so in our case, rather than sending category and the year of order date, I just want to pass on the order date. So I'll be selecting the order date for that. Okay, so once you go into the order date, Tableau automatically create different what you can say date part of that particular date. So we have the year of order date, quarter, month. So if you want to pass on only that particular value, you can do that. I'll be going with the selection of year of order date. So that is what I want to pass on as a filter for. So yeah, in the target one, you can also select the same field. Okay, you can also use the mix and match in this case. For example, if you are using the multiple data sources, and if those columns are renamed something differently in the source one and source two, you can go with these options. Let's say a category is called something else in the second target data source. So you can switch between your fields, what should be the value in the source data source and what should be value in the target data source. Okay, so I think I'm set up in terms of what value I want to pass. I'll simply click on OK, and then you will have the field here. Okay, so from here you can see year of order date from source field is being passed on as a year of order date on the target field, and you can also see the target data source. Okay, now once you do that, simply click on the OK button. Now, as I click on OK button, you can see like the earlier filter has been removed. Okay, or my sheet basically got refreshed. Okay, now if I click on, let's say, any particular category, I'll still be able to see all the categories over here. So even if I click on this particular technology category, which earlier used to show only technology data, now you are seeing data across entire year. And this particular capability allows you to control the user interaction. If you are using a multiple sheets and on click of one or the source sheet, you want to pass on the different actions for different target sheet, you can simply set it up. Okay, so yeah, that is the first thing or the first topic I wanted to cover. So I think I hope everyone understood this. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Uh, I'll be using hide all sheets option to keep my workbook clean. Now let's back to the PPT section. Yeah. Now the next variation that I have is the use of the page shelf and using that for creation of the visualization. Now, most often, one of the most what we can say the underrated features that we have in Tableau would be page shelf, and the most genuine reason for that, we cannot use it on the server itself, right? So there is limited capability in terms of the page shelf, because that animation that we run, uh, it cannot run automatically, right? And that basically limits us in terms of what kind of use cases we use using the page shelf. Okay, now but if we use it correctly, it will basically enrich us with a lot of capabilities in terms of how you want to set up your visualizations. So one common use case I would like to share with you is to have, let's say, a dotted line chart in Tableau. Now, most often when customers come up with the questions like, can we have the different visualization in Tableau, even though Tableau is enriched with all of those capability and the flexibility to create whatever kind of visualization you want. So one common ask is, can we show that dotted line? You can always hear customers saying that, can we format that line that we are showing? So I'll be focusing on that, how we can use this page shelf feature. But obviously, as I mentioned, there are certain conditions through or which needs to be predefined in terms of how you can use it. So the common thing that we use page shelf would be in terms of showing the animation or showing the visualization. We set it up using let's say year of order date, or in this case the month and order date. So what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a chart that will basically use the month and year combination of the order date and plotting the sales value, and it should show the sales for last 12 months. Okay, and then we'll try to create the alternative for that using the fetch shelf. Okay, so let's jump back to the Tableau workbook. Okay, now let me pull in the order date column here. Okay, let me change it to month and year combinations, and I'll simply add the sales metric here. This gave me the line chart. Okay, now one thing, in most of the project scenarios, you might have seen that you were asked by the client to show the rolling month scenario, rolling quarters, or maybe rolling years also, right? Now what I'll be doing is I'll be showing the data for last 12 months based on whatever the max date I have in my data set. So if I go in my data set, the last date or the last month year combination that I have is the December 2020. So what I want to do is I want to set up this visualization in such a way it should always show data for last 12 months. Okay, for that I'll be creating a calculated field. Let me just call it as a recency. So recency basically related with the freshness of the data. Okay, like how really or how recent data you want to show. In our case, it would be last 12 months. So for this, I'll be using a level of detail expression and the deaddiff function to get the data for last 12 months. Okay, so let me quickly set it the calculation. So I'll be using the deaddiff date part that I want to show would be month. The next thing that I would need is the source date, and then the start date, and the next would be the end date. So in this case, I'll be using the level of detail expression to get the maximum date from order date column. Okay. So this basically uses the level of detail expression here. And with this, I'll be able to get this particular value December 2020, and I'll be able to compare that particular maximum value with the individual month and order date in this computation. Okay, so I hope everyone is able to see the computation. So yeah, I'll click on OK button. Recency column, I don't plan to compute any aggregations on top of it. So I'll quickly switch it to dimensions. Okay, so here you have your recency column. Okay, now uh, if I quickly pull in the recency column into the into the cross tab, and I'll simply add it next to the month of order date. So here you can see with the December 2020, you are getting the 0 value. Okay, and if you want to show the last 12 months, you should be able to show the data till uh, January 2020. Okay, now to apply this on the sheet, I'll go back to the line chart. I'll pull my recency column here and place it into filter shelf. And I'll be setting up with the condition here. And okay, rather than setting the condition this way, let me just change it to continuous and add it into filter. Yeah, so this way I'll be able to define what are the maximum number of records I want to show in this particular chart. So I'll be going with the at most value of 11. As we are like counting the numbers from 0, I'll be setting up the value as 11 to compute the last 12 months data. Now here you go, you have the total 12 marks available here, right? Now the one formatting options that we usually see is how to have the line chart and also have the dots on top of it, right? So what I'll be doing is I'll be just making some coloring changes into this. I'll set the color to gray. I'll change the size so it looks thin, and then the common technique we use is the dual axis technique, right? And the second dual axis that you want to set up, you will change it to, let's say, circle mark type. You will change its color to, let's say, red, for example, and you might want to show the circles bit big, so you'll say increase the size. Now next thing that you want to do is to convert it into a dual axis so that they get basically get plotted on the single scale. Now next thing I'll be doing, I'll be using the synchronize axis feature. Okay, and once I do that, you have your dual axis chart ready. Okay, uh, and this is the most common technique we use whenever you want to show the marks on the line also, right? Now, what if we can use the page shelf to achieve the same capability, right? Now, to achieve this using the page shelf, I'll be creating a copy of this. Before that, let me just rename this. I'll just call it as line chart dual axis. Okay. Now, uh, so to plot this particular working as a dotted line chart, I'll be creating duplicate of this particular chart. So everything for now is just as is, as we set up previously. Okay. Now the dual axis that we perform, I don't need to use that. So what I'll be doing, I'll be getting rid of the line chart. Okay. So right now I only have 12 marks available here. And what I'll be doing now, I'll be adding my recency column, duplicate of recency column by control click into the page shelf. This also saves a lot of time to go and find that particular column into your dimension shelf and use it in the visualization. Okay, now let me set up the visualization for this one. So what I'll be doing is I'll be setting up the recency to the highest value, that is 11 in this case, because our numbering is starting from 0. Next thing, I'll use this show history panel. I'll click on show history selection. I'll set it to all values. I'll get rid of the fading option that I'm getting so that it should show me it should show each data points. Next to that, I'll be using the show option for both to show both marks and trails. Okay, so with this, you basically receive the exact replica of your earlier visualization, right? And if you go into the format option and let's say set up the gray color, now these both copies are matching with one another, right? But one thing you would notice with the line chart, now you have 24 marks because you are using the dual axis method. Whereas if you are using the recency and the page shelf. In this case, it's showing the minimum number of marks, right? So 1 mark, we are getting only 1 mark. So those who are worried about in terms of performance, you can always use this technique also. Now the formatting changes that we need to do, rather than using the this particular continuous line, we'll be using the dotted line, and you can choose whatever or whichever line you want to use. So I'll be using this particular combination of lines. Okay, and this way you can usually set up this particular visualization to use to use uh, the line charts. Okay, now the most common question I usually get is we cannot use the page shelf, right? uh, Page shelf on the server, right? But and the reason for that is, if you are using the month of order date, and if the new data comes into the picture, the selection for pages would not automatically go to the end of visualization. But in our case, we have set it up using the recency. And what that means, whenever new data comes in, you are counting the number of data points you want to show from that particular date, and it's always going to be from 0 to 11. Okay, so that's why whenever your data get refreshed, this particular chart will also get refreshed, and you'll be able to use this particular technique whenever you want to don't want to go with the dual axis and have this kind of scenario where you want to show, let's say, the R12M sales. Okay, and you can basically set it up with any other condition. Okay, if you want to show R36 whatever data points or anything, you'll be able to plot this particular visualization. So I think that is one thing you can use in terms of page shelf, uh, that allows you to also get get the different formatting for the visualization also. So yeah, I think that is the second chart. Let me just quickly see if we have any questions in terms of Q&A. Just how you pull it onto the pages in the first place. The first step, please ignore. Okay, I think, yeah, I think resolve the answer to that question. But yeah, you can always go back to the recency field and simply place that into the page shelf. The common technique that I usually use is the control click button on the value, and then simply drag and drop and place it into the page shelf. Hope that answered your question. Okay. So yeah, I think we have covered the second scenario also. Let me just quickly pull this on your dashboard, uh, and let me set it to automatic range. Yeah, there you have it. And you can get rid of this particular recency control also, so you don't need to show that. And this way you can actually show this particular kind of visualization. I hope you'll be able to wow your team next time when you show this kind of visualization to them also. Yeah, let me just hide all the sheets that I have used. Let me get rid of the sheet. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one then. Yeah. So one of the common scenario that I also see is when Tableau has great functionality in terms of the sorting that you want to use. So sorting features that we use in Tableau are pretty versatile, but there is always some complaints in terms of how those features works or how we can set it up. People are expecting that it should behave just like Excel. Yeah, that is actually difficult, but yeah. So there are no limit to expectations how the sorting should work in terms of Tableau. But the common approach that you, or the common question that you would see from the business users, is to sort both maybe on your dimension and on your major column. So if it is just a sorting of the based out of your major, in that case you can use the native sorting in Tableau. There are multiple options. You can go on top of your sheet, you can sort from there, you can define right click on the dimension and define what kind of sort you want. So Tableau is pretty versatile in that particular condition, in that particular what we can say, setting up the sorting. But what if your user asks to sort your date based on your date also, your major columns also? So in that case it gets a bit trickier, right? We all have or might have gone through a scenario where user asked us to set our data both based on our majors and dimensional field. And the known solution for that we currently have is we basically compute a rank on our dimension field, and that's how we basically set up the sorting when we want to use the dimension. Now using the ranking in Tableau have the different challenges, right? First of thing, if you have the lot of data that you are showing into a visualization or in your cross tab, it will it won't it would be a hamper in terms of performance, right? Your visualization or the dashboard that you are creating, it would impact your performance, because the rank is a being a table calculation would get evaluated at the time of loading, and that as a Tableau developer puts you in a bind, because you'll have to manage the dashboard load times and the client requirement, right? And such scenario is also there in terms of date also. So whenever we want to sort based on let's say different measures and date, the one common technique that you can use is to convert your date field into a number, right? You would find this technique being used into classic data warehousing concepts, right? Where they basically convert the number, your date column into a number and store. That allows the fast retrieval of the data and everything. But in Tableau, we can also do that. We can basically leverage the date column, convert it into number, and use that for sorting. So that way, rather than creating a rank, we can always use the aggregation on top of that particular number to apply for sorting. Okay, and to achieve that, let me just walk you through the existing visualization that I have created and how we can basically set it up. Just give me a minute here. Yeah. So in this case, the expectation is to sort your data based on the different sorting options that you give to the user with the custom. Okay, so by default, whenever you want to sort, you can use these features in Tableau. But what if your client want to sort your data apart from your measures, right? So I have set up this parameter here, which when I click on the by sales column, will sort my data based on sales. If I set it by profit, it would sort my data based on profit, and the last one is by date. Okay, so now you can see the latest date that you have is at the very top, and you can traverse and go at the bottom, and you can see it's basically starting from your oldest date, right? So you can set up these kind of computation, right? Now we'll try to see the approach for this one actually. Okay, how we can basically set it up. So let me go back to my sheet here. I'll be using some base column in this case. Let's say uh, rather than using it from here, let me just pull it directly here. I'll using the customer name column, and next to that, let me just pull in the subcategory also. Okay, and I'll be pulling in the order date column. Now, once I pull the order date, it would take some time to load. So for that, I'll just pause the output of the visualization, and let me set up how it would look like. Okay, so I have pulled in the order date, but my visualization is not getting loaded because I have paused the query update. Now, what I want to do is I want to convert this to the exact date column. So next thing, I'll change it to exact date and change it to discrete. And now I'll run the query. So here you go, you have your order dates now. Okay, now next thing that I want to do is I want to pull in the sales metric. Okay, I am not actually pulling them, so yeah, I'm just typing them in. And the next metric I'll be using is the profit. And you have the basic visualization ready. Next thing, I'll just change it to a bar chart, and I'll in sum of sales, let me just place it into size. And for profit also, I'll just place it into profit shelf. Yeah. Okay, now, yeah, so if I get rid of the order date from here, I'll be able to see data this way. Let me just check what is the challenge I'm facing here. Let me quickly go here and change it to bar chart. Yeah. So if you set it up like this, you have your sales number and profit numbers. Okay. And your visualization would look something like this. You can also use the major names into color. Now, once you set it up, the next thing that we want to do is to create a parameter that will basically allow the sorting. Okay. So what I'll be doing, I'll be creating the parameter, and rather than using the string or anything, I'll be using the parameter with the integer data type. Of course, it improves the performance. That is the main reason. So yeah, I'll just name this as the sort by filter. I'll set it to the list module, and I'll just type in the numbers. So on the click of one, basically, it should be sort based on the sales. For second one, it should sort based on profit. And third one is basically based on order date. I'll set this parameter. I'll right click on this and click on to show this particular parameter. I'll quickly change the title also. Okay, there you go. So you have your parameter ready. Next thing we need to do is to create a calculated field that will give us the sorting option. So I'll name this as the sort field, and the I just now need to set up the parameter to use for this particular sorting feature. So I'll be using a case statement where I'll specify the parameter name. Next thing, for value 1, which is basically displayed as the sort by sales number, I'll be setting up formula for that. For if I click on the second button of the parameter, it should basically sort based on profit. And the third field, which is the use case which we are focusing right now, is to date. Okay, so what I have done in this particular case is, let me quickly show you the computation for the existing sort field. Okay, so traditionally this is the sorting field we usually set up. Okay, so if you have a particular custom sort option, you basically end up computing the rank if you want to use the order date as is. Okay, and based on that, you basically use this for the sorting, and this basically slows down the performance. Okay, because the rank dense being the table computation takes a while to compute those things, and if you have, let's say, higher number of records in your visualization, it would take some time, right? Now, rather than using this, you can use this kind of calculation to sort your data or to convert your date field into a number. So let's assume that order date is present in the format of YYYY format. Okay, so the leftmost 4 digit would give you the year part. Then the next two fields would give you the date field, and the next one will give you the month part. Okay, so what I have done here is basically I have added the 4 zeros next to your year part. So if you are getting 2019 as a year value, or 2020 or 2019 as a year value, it would basically append the zeros next to that particular value. The 4 zeros would be appended. So you would get 2019 and then 4 zeros. Okay. And then for the uh, date part, or for the month part, we are multiplying it by 100. So it would basically convert the month part uh, and append 2 zeros next to that. Okay, and the next thing we are doing, we are adding the date field as is. Okay, so once we do that, it would give you the unique number. So for example, 2019, the month would be 11, and let's say date is 09. Okay, so like that you will get the unique number for each date field. Okay, And once you do that, I'll be using the max computation on top of it. Okay, you can use max min whatever you want. Ultimately it would perform in the same way. The important thing is to have this aggregation on top of the number. Okay, now once you do that, uh, let me just copy this field from here and set it up here. Okay, so once you do that, it should give you the better option in terms of how the how the calculation is going to perform. Okay, uh, now obviously in this case I had to make a lot of transformations to convert the order date into string part and then convert it into the integer. But if you are setting it up for your project, you can always have the year, date and month part coming as a separate column, and then you can leverage this. Okay, you would always find it working better rather than computing the table calculation, and that you can leverage for the performance. Okay, so I'll just set this up. Now, next thing, let me pull in the order date column into the visualization. I'll change it to the exact date column. Uh, it will take some time to compute this. Okay, let me just click on cancel then and change it to the discrete field. Okay, so there you have it, uh, the customer name field here. Okay, now once I set this up, uh, now the one thing you would need to use set it up before you start using the sorting feature based on the category column is to get the unique record based on whatever the dimension field you are using. So in our case, we are using the subcategory customer name and order date. For now, I'll just get rid of the subcategory column, and so that it would be easier to understand. And let me set it up based on the customer name and order date. So to get the unique record for sorting, what I'll be doing, I'll be using a combined field. Okay, so I'll quickly create a calculated field. I'll just name this as combined field, and I'll simply set it up by control clicking customer name using the plus operator, and then using the order date here. And then again, next to the order date, I'll have to set up the str function, because date and string you won't be able to combine or group together. So I'll create this particular combined field and I'll move it at the very beginning. Okay, so what this does is it basically allows me to retrieve the each customer name and order date combination, and then you can use this for sorting. Okay, now okay, I think in terms of preparation we are almost ready. Let me just remove the sorting that I have already placed on the customer name. Now this combined field is visible for now, but what I need to do is I need to set up the sorting on this one. So I'll go to the combined field, click on the sort option, and I'll just set up the sorting over here. So Tableau have different sorting options. As we know, I'll go to the field and then I'll define the field which I want to use for the sorting. So we just created this sort field, okay, which we are going to use for the sorting. Okay, now it is giving you the aggregation as custom because we have defined the what kind of aggregation it have inside of the computation itself. Now let me set it up to descending order, and there you go, you have your basic visualization ready. Let me just change the mark types to bar. So as you can see, you have the sort by option here for sales. Okay, you can see it is getting sorted. If I select profit, it is getting sorted based on the profit numbers. And if you select the order date, you are seeing the latest, comparatively latest order date at the top and the older date at the bottom. So there you go. This is how you can basically set up the sorting option by converting your number date column into a number. Okay, and with the higher number of data, or as you go on increasing the number of fields in this particular rows section, it is actually better to go and have it uh, uh, as a date field, a converted number, rather than using rather than using what we can say the rank feature. Okay, so I'll take a pause here. Let me quickly check if I have any particular calculation. Yeah, I think could you use max of int replace string order date to avoid the match? I think, yeah, that would be also possible. Yeah, for hiding the combined field, you just need to right click on the field and uncheck this show header option. So that way it won't be visible for the end user. But yeah, if you're performing the export of the data or something, that would be present there. But yeah, I think in terms of the capability, I think it should solve the solution. It should work for you. Okay. Okay, I'll take a pause here. Now, next thing, uh, I think I don't have any other questions apart from this. Okay, let's move on to the next field then. Yeah. So we have covered so far this. Yeah, sorry, I think I messed up the header over here, but no worries. Convert your date. Okay, let me just quickly go here. Yeah. So the other use case that I wanted to cover is basically how we can create the custom legends in Tableau. Okay, and there are multiple ways to do that. Usually, the idea is to basically show or use the different options to show the legends. Okay, so in this case, the visualization that I have created, it uses the different legends rather than using the legends that are created by default in Tableau. And this feature is pretty useful when you are using, let's say, a parameter to toggle between sheets, or if you are writing the wanted to show the different legends for different fields. Okay, so I'll quickly walk you through this. Okay, so this particular use case has two different scenarios, right? First one is how we can, like, if we go with the dual axis, we usually use the Gantt chart and the bar chart to show the fields together, right? But in this case, if you want to show more than two metric in your visualization, what kind of approach you can take? Okay, and how you can basically set up the legends for this. Okay, so I'll quickly walk you through for this example. What I've done here is I have created the different what we can say three different metrics. Okay, and there is a metric selector option. So idea is on the selection of particular metric, your blue bar should show something else, your gray bar should show particular different metric, and the marker or the Gantt that you have should basically show the different metric. So you will be able to compare three different what we can say measures with one another in a single visualization. Now, when you go with the dual axis, there is a limit, like you can only combine a scale for two axes, right? But in that case, you won't be able to apply the coloring rule for the markers, because that would be a bit difficult in terms of showing what column or what measure should be used as the measure one and what should be used as the measure two. So in this particular case, I have set up the conditional column also, that whenever this threshold value is crossed, the Gantt chart should show black color, and if that threshold is not met, it should show the red coloring. Okay, and at the same time, you are showing the different metrics for the gray bar and the blue bar. If I go and click on, let's say, versus fiscal year tilde computation, your measures are getting or measures are changing, right? So now blue bar is representing the FITD sales, your gray bar is showing the previous fiscal year sales, and your marker is showing the same time last year sales. So if your blue bar is basically showing, let's say, 2019 sales, the same time last year would be the 2018 sales for that particular time bucket. Okay, so yeah, that is in terms of the use case that I want to achieve. Now let's move on to how go through how this is basically set up. Okay, so I'll be creating or going through this particular visualization itself. Okay, let's go and focus first on the conditional reference line. Okay, so here you can see I have used the dual axis. One is to show the blue bar, and the second one is basically to show the gray bar, right? Now, in that case, the markers or the black and red markers are basically being shown with the reference line. But we all know that using a single reference line won't allow you to have the different coloring option. So for this, what I have done is I am basically checking whether my threshold value is greater than my blue bar value. Okay, so the field that I have used for this is basically growth reference chart. Okay, so what this basically does is it computes the condition whether the the value that you are getting into the blue bar is greater than or less than reference line. If it is less than reference line, that means your value is underachieved, right? And then I am basically returning the value that I am getting into the reference line. Okay, now the reference line computation has the different conditions based on the parameter that I have set up. I won't go in that detail. I'll be publishing or sharing this particular workbook on my Tableau public. You can always refer that one. Uh, Now, for the positive reference line, what I have done, uh, I have set up the computation to check whether my blue bar value is greater than the reference line or not, and greater than or equal to reference line or not. And if that is true, I'm again returning the reference line. So this basically gave me two different computations, and I basically added them into the detail shelf. Now, if I go into the reference line for the axis, let me just show the header for this one. Yeah, so I have added this onto the blue bar. And if I go into the edit reference line, let's set up, like, let's quickly have a look how they are set up. So first we'll go through the positive growth reference where the marker should look black. Okay. So what I've done is I have just pulled in that particular field. I have defined the aggregation. I have defined the scope, how that value should get computed. And in the formatting section, I have defined the line type and the color for that. Okay. And this way I'll be able to show the marker. Okay. Now for any particular bar chart, only one condition would be fulfilled at a time. Either your threshold value would cross your target value, or it should be less than or equal to. Okay. And based on these conditions, you, for any particular what we can say bar, you would only get either the black line or either the red line. Okay. And that's how this solution works. Now, if I go into the reference line, second reference line, that is the negative growth reference, here everything basically remains same. You just need to change the value field. The scope is same, aggregation is also same, and rather than using the black colored line, just use the red one. Okay. And this basically sets you up to plot the visualizations, right? And now whenever you basically cross that particular value, the color would automatically change, and you will get you'll be able to show three different metrics into the what we can say bar over bar chart, right? So yeah, that is how you can basically set up the custom legends. Okay. Sorry, the custom reference line. Now coming back to the how we can set up the legends. Okay. So for this, I'll just quickly go back or create a visualization in this sheet itself. Okay. So I'll create a blank sheet here. I'll set up the metric selector parameter here, and I'll show this particular parameter. This is the same parameter which I'm using on that particular sheet. Okay. Now, one of the great things I basically like in Tableau is the flexibility to achieve the solution. If you do not have the direct way to achieve that, you will always find a solution that will work in your favor, and that as a developer enriches you or try or allow you to try different things. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to show the different legends now, right? So the easiest way I can think of is to create a placeholder calculation. Okay. Now the placeholder calculation, as we recall it, or simply refer them, you can simply double click in any particular column or rows shelf, and you can create a what we can say a temporary calculation. So for that, let's just do that. I'll be setting up a calculation or a value. Let's say named 0.0. Okay, let me just do this. Okay, and I'll be setting its aggregation to maximum. Okay, so what I'm basically doing in this case is I'm just using or plotting a zero value on the column scale. Okay, now what I want to do is I'll be creating these particular dummy calculations for three fields. So one to show, let's say, my Gantt chart, second to show my blue bar, and third one to show my gray bar. So I'll just duplicate this. Okay, and this way each value that I have plotted here would act as a placeholder for different visualization type. So now next thing that I want to do is I want to show the headers or what value should go in there, right? So I have created the different fields here. Okay, before that, let me just set up what kind of chart type it should show, right? So I'll go into the first one, I'll select the first one, and it should be shown as a Gantt chart. So I'll go to the mark type and I'll change the mark type to Gantt bar. Okay, and I'll just change its color to black one. Okay, next one, I'll change the mark type to, let's say, square or circle, whatever you like. Okay, I'll assign the color as the blue one for this one, and the last one that I want to show, I want to have it color as a gray one. So I'll say and change its color to gray one, and I'll change the mark type to circle one also. If you want to use square or different one, you can use that also. Next thing, let's get some formatting done here. Let's get rid of the grid lines. The vertical grid lines are gone. Next thing, let's get rid of the zero lines also. And in terms of rows, let's get rid of the row dividers also. uh, uh, I think I'll have to remove the column divider also, so that give me a clean visualization. Right now, we are set in terms of what kind of icon the legend should show. Now next thing that comes into picture is the value that you want to show on the legend. Okay, so for this I have created some of these computational fields that will give you the output based on whatever the parameter that you have selected. So if you quickly look through the computation, it basically says that for the blue bar, when it is set to FITD, it should show the FITD sales. When it is set to target value, it should also show the FITD sales as the label. But when it is set only to versus MTD, it should show MTD sales. And this way, I have set up the different calculations for the legend. Same goes for the gray bar also. Gray bar basically shows the different arguments. Okay. On the FYTD selection, it shows the previous FY sales. On the MTD selection, it shows the MTD sales, and on the target selection, it shows the target value. So target value is nothing but a 1.2 multiplier, which I just created to increase the sales by, let's say, 20%. Okay. So yeah, that is the computations that you need to set up. Now for the reference line, I have this particular legend. If I'll click on this particular max of 0.0, which I have set up for the reference line, I just need to add this legend and place it into the label shelf. Okay, this way you would have the name for that particular legend. Next one, you can use the blue bar into labels to show the blue bar values. Okay, and the last one that we have is our gray bar. Okay, yeah, and this is it. You are set up to show your legends. Okay, I'll just hide the headers for the bottom, and from here you can basically change the values, and your legends will basically change upon that, and that allows you the different shapes for the different legends that you want to show. Because for the reference line, you usually do not get the legend created in Tableau, right? So that's how you can set it up. Now, one thing that you can try is, or the common question I usually get is how I can combine or use the space. For example, one legend might have taking more of the length, other is taking a bit small, and you are not able to adjust them into a single visualization, right? So the common technique that I usually use, and the reason why I have created these metric as 0.0, is to use the dual axis feature. So for example, let's say your FYTD sales and previous FY sales. What you can do is you can right click on your last metric or the field that you have, can change it to the dual axis. Now what have happened is Tableau have created a separate or combined axis for these two fields. Okay, and because they both are set up to 0.0, they are getting overlap. Now what you can do from here to add the spacing between these two metric is to just change their values. Let's say I'll just set this as 0.2, and for this one I'll change it to 0.6. So on the scale of 0 to 5 and 0 to 6, these values have been plotted. Okay, but right now I have created a dual axis. Next thing I need to create is what we can say, synchronize them. So once you synchronize them, because this axis header is set to 0.2, it will plot values here, and this is set to 0.6, it will plot values over there. Now the challenge is because it does not have space on the right side, it have moved the label on the left. Okay, and to achieve that, one thing you can do, go to the edit axis option and change the range of your scale. So rather than starting it to 0 to setting it to automatic, change it between 0 to 1. Okay, and once you do that, rather than using 0, let me set it up to 0.1. Uh, so one is 0.2 and other is, let me just make few changes here. So I think this one is getting plot correctly. I think I have clicked on the reversed axis maybe. So let me get rid of the reversed axis. Yeah, yeah. So that was the error I was getting. Okay. Now once you do that, just hide your headers. Okay. So this way you can basically set up the metric that you have. Okay. And you are set. You can add other, maybe one or two other metric here also, and you can use the dual axis for this one also. That way you will be able to utilize the space correctly, and the final end result would look like this. Yeah, so that allows you more capability in terms of how the visuals should look. I hope this should help you. So setting up the dummy fields into the metric is pretty useful actually for multiple scenarios. So if you want to create the different variations of the chart, you can use this particular feature. I commonly use this when user asks, let's say they want to color their dates, for example. That is one common example. Or they want to color a particular field differently, or a string that should be colored. So in that case, I usually set up this kind of computation. So I'll quickly walk you through the other implementation of the same technique. So let's say you have the customer name and subcategory. Here I have plotted 4 different metrics, and I'm using the different formatting for that. And because each field has its own marks card, you can control how it should behave and how you can interact with it. Okay, so here I have the profit ratio field. Here I have the profit numbers, sales numbers, and last one is the quantity. And based on the different fields, if I go into the profit ratio, I want to show the profit, but I want to color it based on the status column. Status column is nothing but a random field I have created, and based on that you can color it. Okay, uh, combining these two axes allows you to adjust multiple fields into the column shelf. And that like the most common question that I receive is the more the field you add, you basically get the scroll for this. But if you use this kind of approach to for dual axis, you can just combine them. Obviously there are certain limitations to this particular approach. One thing, the headers of the column you won't be able to show. So the because you're using the dual axis, so you would be able to see the 0 numbers up top and at the bottom, and that would impact in terms of user experience. So one common thing, or one thing I basically use this with this particular technique, is to have the different sheet for the headers, or simply hard code them on the top of the sheet. So you basically lose the capacity of the sorting or the sorting feature in the process. But yeah, if you want to do that trade-off with your customer in terms of whether you want this feature, I think you can use these techniques also. So yeah, I think that is it in terms of how you can use the custom formatting options on the sheets and other things. Okay. Uh, there was one last thing, or one last scenario that I wanted to walk you through, is to drill through without using the set actions in Tableau. I think I have a question here. Can we color subcategory based on profit the same view? Yeah, we'll be able to do that. So that is achievable. You can color subcategory based on profit. So right now I just set it up. Yeah. So the coloring rule that I have set up in this particular field is on the sum of profit. For that, I use the right column on the major values. I basically use the separate legends for this. And the current condition is either positive or negative profit values. So that's how I have set it up. But if you want to color it this particular on any other condition or any calculated field, you can set it up. Okay. Because it is a binary condition in this case, either true or false, I usually go with the major values option and the coloring settings there. That saves me the performance impact, rather than creating a calculated field and using it for coloring. Okay, I think, yeah, next one that I want to cover is the drill through feature in Tableau. So we all are aware that a drilling feature or the set actions were introduced in Tableau with the version 2018 or 2018.5, I guess. Okay, and there was a use case before, like you can, if you want to implement this particular drill through option, you have to go through a roundabout way to achieve this. Okay, so what I've done here is I have a reset button for now. Okay, so what is happening here is you have a pie chart based on the category and sum of sales. Okay, and if you click on any particular technology, you should go to the subcategory level. Now, everyone knows that it's pretty easy to achievable in terms of what we can say, set actions, right? You just need to create a set. On click event, you need to update that particular set value with the new set that needs to pass, and you are set for the interaction and everything, right? But with the without the before the introduction of set actions, there is actually way to achieve this. Okay, you might have seen some articles in terms of what we can say, contextual brushing and other things. This is along the same line. Okay, if I click on any particular technology field, what is happening, I am moving on to the next level. So here you can see, based on the click of particular field, I am getting subcategory level details. And if I want to fall back, I had to click on the reset button. So with the set actions, you do not have to use this reset button. You can simply click anywhere outside the sheet and you can do. But because it works through roundabout way, you have to use these techniques or the reset button for this. So we'll try to go through this, how this particular action is being set up. I think I have next 5 or 10 minutes. So let me just do that. So I'll go into the blank workbook again. Let me just set up a calculation here. Let me pull the category column and let me pull the sales field here. Once I set it up, let me just change it to a pie chart. Let's have the category labels here. And then let's have the sum of sales field over here. Let me change the width size to entire view. Now, let me just call this as display sheet. The one technique for using this particular technique, we need to create the two copy of the same sheet actually. So I'll be using the display sheet. Obviously, this is not the toggle. So I'll just call this as a display sheet. I'll create the duplicate of this and I'll just call this as hidden sheet. Okay. So display sheet is something on which the drill action is going to work, and the hidden sheet is something there to use that particular generated set that we have. of course, we are not using the set actions for this. Now, if I go on to the hidden sheet, I would not need any particular field on this particular sheet. For now, I'll just create the category. If now let's go back to the display sheet. I'll be setting up a calculation here, and this particular technique uses the level of detail expression to identify the selected value and checking whether it is a single category or not. So I'll be naming this as category slash subcategory, and I'll be setting a computation here. So if if the count distinct of my category field is equal to 1, then it should show subcategory, else it should show category column. Okay, this is ready. And rather than using the category field here, what I'll do, I'll just move my category into color. Category subcategory column into color and in label also. Okay, so currently there is no action defined on this. That's why you're getting both the fields. And what I'll do, I'll add the category field in detail shelf here, just so that this particular sheet should have reference of the category value that is coming up. Okay, now coming back on the dashboard, I'll be pulling both the sheets here. I'll be using the display sheet and the hidden sheet up top. Okay. So for now, let's just have category field into color also on this one. We can, after later part, we can remove that. So yeah, here you have the hidden sheet and the display sheet. We'll perform some the action here first, and then we'll see how it works. Okay, now if you go into the dashboard, click on the actions. Okay, we'll be setting this up using the filter action. Okay, so what should happen is on the click of your display sheet, it should pass on the target value to both the sheets here. Okay, and rather than using like I would just would set this action on the select menu, and it should keep filter value as is. So this is the setting which will allow us to drill down to the subcategory level, but it won't be able to take us back to the earlier level of the category. So that's why we have to use this give filtered values. And next thing, I'll use the selected fields, the technique that I showed you in the first sheet. Let's go to the add filters, and here we'll just set the category column. We'll pass category field from the source to target. Okay, and once I do that, let me click on OK button. Now once you set it up on the display sheet, I'll be clicking on the field. Once I do that, it filtered my hidden sheet. Right now, if I what basically should happen is it have generated the what we can see the action which would pass on the selected technology category as a filter. And if I go on back on that particular sheet, you can see that action is being generated here. Right now, click on that action and add it to context. Once you add it to context, now next thing that you would want to do is to apply this particular filter action on multiple sheets. So in this case, by default, this action is being generated only for the hidden sheet. If I go on the display sheet, there is no filter action that have been generated here, right? Now, what I want to do is I'll come back to the hidden sheet, and from here, I'll just apply this to worksheet, and I'll set this on display sheet also. Why I need to do this? Because you in this particular scenario, you will not be able to pass on the filter context from source to target where both are same. So that's why what I have done, I have created the hidden sheet, and from the hidden sheet once the action is getting created, I'll be passing it on to the display sheet using the apply filter to worksheet option. Okay, once I set it up, now if I go back on the display sheet, you can see your visualization has been able to go to the next level of the subcategory, right? So that's how you can basically set up. So in this case, now if I go back on the visualization, I can get rid of the category fields here. Okay, you can place it in detail shelf maybe, and just show this as, let's say, a text or something, anything, or you can just simply scroll or hide the size. Okay, so yeah, I think we have few questions. Let me just check. Will this session, oh okay, it would be available. I think I don't see any questions apart from this. So yeah, so our job in this case is half done actually, right? Because we have set up the drill through action. Like we are able to move from category field to subcategory level, but we are not able to go back again to the earlier level where we are showing the category fields. Okay, so to set that, we'll have to create this a reset button. Okay, so to set the reset button again, I'll simply double click and create a dummy field here called reset. Okay, I think it's not allowing me. Let me just quickly check. Oh yeah, I need to place it in quotes, sorry. Yeah, I'll just set it as, yeah. Now let's move on this, move this into text field, and I'll simply change the chart type to entire view. Okay, and let me just perform some formatting here. I'll increase the font size to 15, make it center aligned, make it bold, and in terms of alignment, let me make it, set it to center. The common technique that I usually use to get rid of tooltip is to uncheck the include in tooltip, and you are also seeing this particular view data, so you can get rid of that from here. So do not include any command buttons, should set up in terms of filter. The other thing that you can use in terms of formatting is the, once you hover, you are getting this border, right? So set the color to white, go to text and change your value or the color to black. So this way, now it's coming up as a clean sheet, right? Now let's go back. I'll just call this as a reset button. Okay, let's go back to our dashboard. For now, I'll hide the title of this hidden sheet. And what I'll be doing, I'll be using a vertical container. Let me just move these fields into that particular container. And yeah, now I can simply hide or reduce the height of this particular. I'll set it to something like 12 so that it should not be visible to the user. And yeah, I think we are almost ready. Next thing I want to use is the reset button. Add that on top of the sheet. I'll just change its height to something adjustable. 70 pixels should be more than fine. I'll hide the title. And then what I want to do now is set up the reset action. Okay. So to set up the reset action, yeah, I'll be going back to dashboard. Let's click on the actions. So the first action that I created, we can call it as drill through. And the next action that I want to create would be the second friction action. Okay, I'll just call it as reset action. Okay, so for the reset action, what I want to do is on the click of the reset button, it should pass on the value to all the sheets on the dashboard. And I'll change it to the clearing the selection would set it to show all values. Okay, now if I go back into the target field, I'll change it to the selected fields. Again, in this case, I'll be passing on the category field from my source to my target. Oh, sorry. And my source and target both are category, so it is from category to category. What reset button in this case is doing, the filter or the action that which was set up on this particular dashboard, it would reset that value. Okay, so for this you would get an error message initially, missing field on the reset button, but that's okay. We can like there would be no impact in terms of the field, in terms of the behavior. So I'll set up the OK button and click on OK also. Now let's see if it works or not. There you go. So if I click on technology, I'll be able to drill down. And if I click on the reset button, I'll be able to come back to the display sheet. So that is how you can basically set it up if you are using the earlier version. The first time I implemented this solution was on the Tableau version, which was using 2018.3, I think. And yeah, we were able to achieve this. This is the brainchild of our one of the panel member, Prakash Pawar. So yeah, I think that is it. In terms of agenda, I think I was able to cover everything. Let me just go back and see. Yep, I think that is it. I think apart from that, yeah, some of the features that you can use in terms of the dashboard performance, like avoiding the string parameter. We have already gone through these examples. Rather than using the string one, we have used the numbers, defining aggregations in calculated field for parameter. So if you are setting up a particular a parameter, rather than using that particular, what we can say, uh, computation, or define just returning if parameter is equal to 1 then cells, you can actually specify the aggregation next to that, and that should help you in terms of the better performance or improving the performance. The next one is the using the separate data source for headers or static text. So I usually use this technique. Let's say you have a lengthy data source and you created a legends from that particular data source. So it basically creates a new calculated field, and it becomes difficult to manage that particular data source because you create multiple what we can say static text. So rather than using that, or if you want to show the conditional text based on the parameter value, just create a data source, new data source in your workbook, and use it as a reference, one with the lesser number of records. So that way it won't have to take a lot of time while retrieving those records or showing those numbers. Yeah, one of the common technique also I use is the using the multiple value or the custom list instead of drop down list. So we all know that whenever we show the quick filters in Tableau, it takes time for Tableau to basically generate the query and then show the output. With the multiple value custom list, you can basically show the same metric, and once you select or type in the name of the field, you will be able to show the different drop down options, or you can simply type in the star and you'll be able to see the entire list of the values that are available in that particular field. You can use this when you have the higher number of values, uh, and focus on that particular aspect in terms of the query performance. This helps you in terms of what we can say, reducing the initial load time of the dashboard. And once you type in the subcategory, once you go on that particular sheet, it helps you in terms of improving the performance. So yeah, I think that is it. I like, these were the all topics that I wanted to cover. So I'll basically move on. We can basically move on to the Q&A session now.
Thank you, Ishwar. It was an interesting session.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I promised Kausalya for a question. He said, I wanted to understand the purpose of using formula-based option for legends.
Formula-based options for
What
the
is
legend.
your?
Right. So
I think you covered that.
right. Yeah. So in Tableau, if you are using the parameters to show the different what we can say a toggle between different charts, we all know those legends are basically get hidden, right? And for that we usually create a separate sheet, and that we basically expose on the visualization. But with this particular approach, or if you want to show, if your customer is asking to show the different legends for that, in that case, you can use this particular approach to create these kind of legends and have it on the visualization.
Okay. Thank you. I think Bharat has asked a question saying, can you please show it again how the dotted line chart has been created?
Okay. Okay. Sure. I think I'll be able to show it quickly. It won't take that much time. So yeah. Yeah. So with the dotted line, I think the idea is to use the circle chart. If you are using the different marks in Tableau for this, you won't get option of for the pages. So if you go into the pages, this setting that you are getting to show different marks and trails or the both option is only available with the circle marks. If you are not using the circle marks, you won't get this particular option. And the driving idea of this particular visualization, rather than using the order date into the pages, is to have the set computation that will always return a specific number of data points, and those data points should get updated based on that. So you can pull in the recency column into the pages shelf. You can just set up the condition how many values you want to show into the recency. It is always hard coded to 11 values starting from 0 in our case, in my case, because I'm showing the R12M sales. If you're using R36 or anything, you can probably set up the 35 value, and from there you can basically drive this particular visualization. So idea is to first show the circle chart, and then using the page shelf control, show the dotted line, the marks and trails, both the values, and apply the different formatting. So I hope that answers your question.
Sure, it does. Thanks, Ishwar.
Yeah.
I think Disha is asking Tableau public email ID. Where can I find the workbook? I don't know what do you mean by that. Disha, can you be a little more
Uh,
specific?
yeah. Let me do one thing. I'll share the workbook on my Tableau public ID. I'll share this as a part of the deliverables of the or the part of the session itself. So is that okay, Santosh? I can
Yeah,
give you the link.
yeah, that should be fine.
Yep.
Yeah, workbook for the session. All right, Disha. Thanks. Okay.
Okay.
I think somebody said pretty much covered. By the way, which headphone model are you using?
Oh, okay. I think it's Jabra Evolve 20, I think. So yeah.
Very different question. Rahul is saying how to make a mandatory selection in drop-down list. What I mean is always a value should be selected in the filter.
How to make a mandatory selection in
Always
drop-down list.
value should be selected in the filter.
Oh, I think that is one of the gray areas of the Tableau where we actually do not have solution. So I think you're asking that if you have selected a default value in one measure, in one dimension, and if you change the other one, it should show the default value automatically. So I think currently there is no solution for that. I think, yeah, you can post it into the ideas section of the Tableau. Let's see if the team can pick it up.
Nice, nice. All right. I think a lot of them have been answered by Prakash. But is there anything else that you guys are not
So,
didn't understand? And
Santosh, before that, I just want to add something to Kaushalya's question. So,
please,
Kaushalya actually, he mentioned that like a dynamic legend Ishwar explained. So, we can also achieve using character codes, and then we can simply like calculate it. So, I'd like to add that. So, Kaushalya, actually, the way our approach Ishwar explained, it is more flexible when it comes to automatic dashboard. So, if you write a calculation and put that as a legend, it will not resize based on your dashboard. And then if you was watching it in the mobile versus laptop versus any other device, the resizing will not happen. Whereas the approach Ishwar explained, since it is a part of chart itself and not a text, the resizing and all those all other flexibilities will comes with it, which you cannot do with calculated field using character codes. I hope that answers your question.
nice. Thanks, thanks, Prakash. Any other questions? I think Prakash has answered most of them. I didn't get a chance to see anything else, but feel free to. Onkar is asking your Tableau public name, so if you can share that, I think that will be good.
Yeah, let me do one thing. Let me just
Yeah.
place the link in the chat box itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Bhaskar
Meanwhile,
is,
we can take over there.
okay. Bhaskar is asking, how do we add a table like a column in Excel? We do by say joining two cell values. Bhaskar, can you what do you trying to ask? How do we add a table like column? I don't know what that means, but Ishwar,
I think he's talking about inline table. So if you need any sample table or the simple few column table, if you can add it directly, if I have got your question correctly. If that is the case, actually, there's no easy way to do it. So ideally, we prefer creating one Excel or text file, and then you can get it done from that. If I got your question correctly, if not, please rephrase the same.
like a column in Excel, are you actually referring to concatenating data from two cell values? And I don't want to force feed my thoughts.
So like click on other tools, they provide an inline table option where you can quickly create your table on the fly and then directly use it in the tool itself. That feature Tableau doesn't provide, but easier way to just the Tableau.
Yeah, yeah, it's a visualization tool. Yeah, so Bhaskar, it's not going to be the database itself unless and until you get data from somewhere. Disha, it is quite useful. They plans for more upcoming sessions. Yes, every quarter we will do one. I think the next one we'll do probably in May or June. And again, it's open for everyone. If you all have, like Ishwar shared his top tips, and everyone else like us benefited. I'm sure you guys have something that Ishwar will benefit from and Prakash will
Yeah.
benefit from. Please come forward and talk about it. Share your thoughts. It'll be really nice. Web authoring in web application. Interesting. Kishore, I don't know if we have someone who can do that, but we will definitely check. I'll definitely float the idea um, with with a WhatsApp group. So we have a WhatsApp group. We have a group on LinkedIn. Not very active, but whenever there are some questions, I'm sure people do get some benefit. So we can definitely add you to that. Zakir is also asking about, can we have sessions on embedding non-view content and dashboards? When you say non-view content, what's that? Ishwar, do you understand what is non-view content?
I'm not sure. I am not able to understand the exact
So I
requirement.
think he is talking about web pages. So we do have one component, web page component. So you can use that component to add anything which is published. So you can just get a link and then you can use web page component to add it. That is what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going on to chat. Uday asking, will it be possible to see the complete recording? Yes, it will be on YouTube very soon. You will get an email. If you want to ask any queries, yeah, feel free to just respond to the email you got. One of us will be able to answer your queries. Thank you, Ishwar, for sharing your Tableau public profile. WhatsApp group link. I will let me share that actually. Onkar, I lost my laptop and I would like to use product key into new laptop. Yes, that should be possible. And how is that possible? How do you get your? If you don't have your key, then it will be difficult, right? Ishwar, any ideas on that?
Mm. So if he's asking about using the same key on multiple systems, I think, or is it asking about how to retrieve that key? If it is
I
available
think
on
he's
the
logged.
email, I think, yeah, in that case, no.
He's logged. Probably it
So
should be
easiest
available.
option I would think of is you can reach out to Tableau support team, because then since you already lost your system, there's nothing else you can do to. We can't expect someone who got it to do that. So ideally, we can just reach out to support system and see if they can do something about it. But if not, yeah, so we can think of other ways, or we can just take help of community if anyone knows, or any other way to do it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Any other questions? You need to disable from first system. Yeah, you need to, but now that you don't,
Yes.
I don't see how that will be possible. Any other questions? Okay, I'm just sharing it on sharing the WhatsApp group. Please use that to invite yourselves and oh sorry, Tushar, everyone, panelists and attendees. Yeah, you have the WhatsApp link. Please feel free to join in. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, there's another question. Can we create a visualization where we have tabs to navigate between different dashboards? But while publishing, we should not be selecting the show sheets as tab options so that user does not get confused which tabs to use for navigation. Interesting question. I think this is a Tableau server issue, right? I mean, when you are publishing it on Tableau server then or Tableau online, sometimes you see the tabs as well.
I think while publishing, you have that option to show sheets as tab when you're publishing the workbook. If you uncheck that, I think that should solve the problem. But yeah, there are like if you're using the multiple size dashboards, in that case, the dashboard would not load correctly for the equal size for the each tab. So let's say you have 1000 pixel width for one or height one for other, let's say you have 1500 pixel. If you publish that without the show sheets as tab, then it would have the maximum size for the what we can say for all the dashboard out of the different dashboards that you have. So if one dashboard is of 15 pixels, all the dashboard should by default have the height of 1500 pixels. So there are certain limitations. You can try that with that particular option. But if you are using the button option in Tableau, that should solve your problem. You won't face any challenges if you're using simply buttons in Tableau.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
But then
right. So
change
as
to
someone mentioned in the question, yes, so if you hide Tableau, it will cause issues with actions.
is there a workaround for that? Do you all know if there's a workaround to sort of ensure that the actions do work and you're able to publish it without the tabs?
Mm,
So if you're using navigation action, so if you're using the like taking action another
Mhm.
dashboard, showing Tableau is essential currently. So not sure if this is resolved in latest version, but otherwise then easier way is to add buttons and then use button to take it to next tab. But like using action from one dashboard to another dashboard, and if Tableau is not visible, then it will cause the issue.
Okay. So I see Rebecca's shared a video, link to a video that can really help. Thank you. All right. Any other questions before we sign off?
Okay, I think, yeah, before that, let me just reiterate, you guys have been really great audience. And yeah, thank you for inviting me to this session, Santosh. Yeah.
Actually, thank you, Ishwar. I see a lot of good comments. A lot of them have loved the session. So thank you. Ideally, thank you for coming forward and sharing your knowledge with all of us.
Yeah,
It helps
it's my
everyone,
pleasure. Yep.
and we can certainly be more productive with Tableau going forward.
Yes.
All right. Um Take care, everyone. You should hear. You should get a.
Started. First off, welcome everybody, and happy.
Oops, sorry. I'm sure you guys will get an email very soon with the link to the recording, and feel free to respond to that if you have any questions. We will be happy to sort of answer them. And if you can, please uh, join the WhatsApp group. It'll be nice to have you guys chat and ask more questions there. Take care. Have a good weekend and have a lovely 2021. I hope to see you next session in May, June. But if you're a part of the Tableau user group already, then you should get invited to the next session automatically. Take care, have fun, and I will see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you,
Thank you.
Prakash.
Bye.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Ishwar.